Hi, it's Murphy, and this is my channel, Murphy's Every Whim, where I talk about books. Because I love to talk about books. And the more I talk about books, the more I love to talk about books. Today, I am experimenting. I said that one of the barriers to making videos was having the right light. So, I'm outside and the sun is going down. I want this to be a pretty quick video. We'll see how this goes. Another barrier is that I feel like I have to have my hair freshly washed. And in case you haven't noticed, I have a little bit of hair. Just a little bit. Being facetious there, of course. And so one of my barriers was my hair needed to be down and nice, and it's up. This is what it looks like when my hair is up and on top of my head and out of my way, which is very comfortable, but I generally don't go out in public like this. So I'm trying to get away with all those barriers. I'm mic'd, and I hope that the cicadas and the wind and all of that aren't a problem. So this is a belated June on the Range report. And I did participate in June on the Range completely, as far as I know, because Michael K. Vaughan said that for June on the Range, you could read just one book as long as that book was Lonesome Dove. So I started listening to Lonesome Dove at the beginning of June, and I finished listening to Lonesome Dove on July 5th. And I needed to finish on July 5th for a reason that I'll explain in a minute. I loved this book. Of course, Larry McMurtry is a fabulous storyteller, but I'd never read any of his westerns before. I'd only read other of his books. When I was much younger, Terms of Endearment was on a movie, and so I read Terms of Endearment and The Evening Star. I also read The Last Picture Show and Loop Group, but I hadn't read any of his westerns. This was great. I really became invested in the characters. I was afraid, being such a long book, it was a 40-hour listen. Being such a long book, I would grow tired of it, but the story kept you involved all along. Some serious cicada action going on right now. I'll try to make sure I'm projecting. Again, I don't know how projecting works when you're mic'd. So, I loved the story. I felt at the beginning, when they were in Lonesome Dove, there was really a lot like the Milagro Beanfield War. I felt it had those vibes, but then they went on the trail and they crossed across Oklahoma, which I spent about, well gosh, now that I'm this old, a sixth of my life in Oklahoma. So I feel like, once they crossed the Red River, I was thinking about where it was that they were traveling. The story had great ebb and flow for an epic novel. I was really invested in Gus and Call and all of the cowboys and cooks on that journey. The women that they met, the sheriff and his wife and the deputy. I was really sad about what happened to the deputy and the sheriff's stepson. what sort of amazed me, and I have to think about this a little bit, is how they all sort of ran into each other near Ogallala. But though there were specific trails, it's not just like people were crossing out in open land somewhere. They were following specific trails and getting to the same places. So, I mean, unlike, but not unlike, the interstate system now, is that, everybody drives through the Dallas-Fort Worth area when they're going from a specific place to a specific place. And the same was true then. So I started listening to it in June, and I finished listening on July 5th. On July 4th, I had flown to Alaska, and on July 5th, my sister and I took the 8-hour trip from Fairbanks up to Fish Camp. And for the first 6 hours of that, we were in a car, and so we listened to the last 6 hours. My sister had watched the Lonesome Dove series, and so she knew the story, and so it didn't bother her that she was getting in 34 hours into listening to this. But she said that the story in the series was very close to what was in the book, and that the narrator of the book specifically chose, it seemed to her, to sound like the characters in the series. I found that interesting, but she didn't know about the Texas bull, which I thought was surprising. So that, and all of the things that happened with the bull in that last 6 hours, that was all new to her. So that was fun for her. But she loved Lonesome Dove when she watched it as a series, but I've always been hesitant to get into it. So I want to thank Michael K. Vaughan for putting Lonesome Dove on my radar, for giving me a reason to dive into it, and I am glad I listened to it, read it. I like to think of it as reading, but I think that I will have to check out some other McMurtry. I have his Pretty Boy Floyd, so I think I might give that a try. So that's all I have. It's clearly evening. Already been out to eat, had Vietnamese food, dropped some books off at the drop for the book sale that happens twice a year here. I had purged some books and they were just sitting in the car, so I dropped them off there. And now I'm going to go listen to more of Lessons in Chemistry, fold some more fabric, if you know what I'm talking about there, and I will see you next time. I hope this sound comes out okay. If so, I might be out here again, but I'll see you next time. Take care.